Lawyers for rapper Tory Lanez update his condition after he was stabbed in prison, and they claim they have new evidence in his case.
Listen up, because what went down with Tory Lanez in that prison is wild, and nobody's telling you the real story. This isn't just some regular celebrity drama. This is life and death behind those concrete walls. Did you think Tory was safe just because he's famous? Did you think his money could protect him in there? Because let me tell you something. Prison doesn't care about your platinum records. Prison doesn't care about your Instagram followers. Prison is where even the biggest stars become nothing overnight. And Tory Lanez just learned that lesson in the most brutal way possible. The news hit social media like a bomb. Tory Lanez stabbed in prison. And immediately everyone started with their conspiracy theories. It was extortion. Someone put a hit on him. He didn't pay protection money. Twitter was blowing up with hot takes.
Rapper Tory Lanez recovering after being stabbed 14 times in prison. Today, his legal team provided an update on his condition.
TikTok detectives were making 15-part series breaking down their theories. Instagram blogs were posting exclusive sources claiming they had the inside scoop. But let me tell you something, none of that was true. All those influencers with their prison connections and inside sources, they were just chasing clicks. The actual story, so much worse. And nobody, and I mean nobody, is telling you what really went down behind those prison walls. The man who stabbed Tory wasn't just some random inmate looking for clout. This was Santiago Chilo, a man serving life for murder who allegedly has 2 more bodies on his record from inside prison. Let that sink in. 2 more bodies inside prison. How terrifying is that? A man who has nothing to lose, who's already killed multiple people. And Tory decided to get on his bad side. What kind of delusion does it take to think you can talk reckless to a man like that? What kind of privilege makes you forget that actions have consequences?
But they also talked about what they say is new evidence in the case that landed him behind bars.
This isn't someone you play games with. This is someone you stay far away from if you have any sense at all. And at first, everyone thought this was about money, that Tory was being extorted. But the truth? This was about disrespect. And not just any disrespect. This was about Silo's wife. According to inside sources, Tory was in the visitation area when Silo's wife came to visit him. And apparently, Tory couldn't keep his mouth shut. He allegedly made comments, and not just any comments. He specifically said something about Silo's wife liking black men. Just pause and think about that for a second. You're in a maximum security prison, surrounded by the most dangerous criminals in the country. And you decide to disrespect the wife of a man who's already killed 3 people?
Yeah, stabbed on Monday. Today, Tory Lanez is in fair condition. His legal team taking advantage of the media's interest in the attack to make a new case for his release.
This is what I call little man syndrome to the extreme. Because Tory, all 5'3" of him, has always had this cockiness that just doesn't match his situation. We've seen it for years. The way he carries himself, the way he talks to people. Remember how he acted during that whole Megan situation? Always with the smirk. Always with the attitude. Like he's untouchable. And that same energy he brought to the courtroom, he brought it right into that prison yard. It's like he forgot where he was. He forgot that prison isn't the club. It isn't the studio. It isn't Twitter, where you can just talk trash and log off. In prison, your words have weight. There are real consequences for running your mouth in there. And he found that out the hard way when Chillo approached him later. The confrontation was brief but brutal. Chillo allegedly didn't even say much. He just pulled out a prison-made weapon and stabbed Tory multiple times.
Saying a new witness has stepped up who can clear Lanez in that shooting case. Now, Lanez is currently serving a 10-year prison sentence in Tehachapi.
Could you imagine the fear that must have rushed through Tory's body in that moment? From tough-talking celebrity to bleeding victim in seconds. Where was all that bravado when the blade was coming at him? Where were all his fans and supporters when he was fighting for his life on that cold prison floor? Guards had to rush in to break it up, but the damage was already done. Now Tory's in the medical ward recovering and probably rethinking every life choice that led him to this moment. This is what happens when you take that same arrogance that got you in trouble on the outside and bring it inside those prison walls. But here's where the story takes an even crazier turn, because while Tory's recovering from those stab wounds, there's apparently new evidence in his shooting case that could change everything. Let's talk about this bombshell that just dropped, because if it's true, the entire Megan Thee Stallion shooting case gets flipped upside down.
After shooting Megan Thee Stallion back in the feet back in 2020. Now, Lanez was jumped on Monday as representatives say he was stabbed 14 times, causing both his lungs to collapse, though he is now breathing on his own.
A bodyguard who was working for Kelsey Harris, Megan's former best friend, has now come forward with a shocking claim. According to him, Kelsey confessed to being the actual shooter that night. And let's remember, this case was messy from the beginning. We had Megan first saying she cut her foot on glass, then saying she was shot, then saying Tory did it. We had Kelsey on the stand basically pleading the fifth to everything. We had all these shifting stories, and now this. The bodyguard claims Kelsey was crying when she made this confession, that she was overwhelmed with guilt about letting an innocent man go to prison. According to his statement, she told him the gun went off during a drunken argument, that she was waving it around at first, just to scare people. But then things escalated. He says that Kelsey told him she fired the gun 3 times. And then, this is the wild part, she claims Tory grabbed her arm during the struggle, causing 2 more shots to go off. If this is true, it means Tory never actually shot or even touched that gun.
Prison officials say his attacker was Santino Casio, a man serving a life sentence for murder who also has a history of prison time violence. The motive for the attack is unknown. Today, the legal team for the Canadian rapper held a news conference in downtown LA saying Lanez was railroaded by then DA George Gascon, who had just survived a recall election.
It would completely destroy the entire case against him. But, and this is a massive but, this so-called new evidence hasn't actually been filed with the courts yet. And in the legal world, if it's not filed, it doesn't exist, period. So right now, this bombshell is basically just talk. It's gossip. It's hearsay. Until Tory's legal team officially submits this to the judge, it means absolutely nothing for his case. And this new evidence in Tory's case, let's really break it down for a second. If this bodyguard is telling the truth, and that's a big if, why is he only coming forward now? Where was he during the trial? Where was he when Tory was being sentenced? Why wait until after he's been stabbed in prison to suddenly remember this confession? It's given suspicious. It's given orchestrated. And I can't help but wonder if this is just another attempt to shift public opinion. Because let's be real, the legal system isn't perfect, but they don't convict people without evidence. There were forensics. There were witnesses. There was enough to convince a jury.
And they say a bodyguard for Megan Thee Stallion has come forward saying he heard her say that she fired the weapon, not Lanez.
Beyond reasonable doubt. So now we're supposed to believe that all of that was wrong because some bodyguard suddenly remembered a conversation. Make that make sense? And if Kelsey really did confess to him, why isn't she coming forward? Why isn't she setting the record straight? The silence is deafening. Because let's be real, Tory's been claiming his innocence since day one. But the courts found him guilty, and now he's serving time. So if there's really evidence that could exonerate him, why isn't it being rushed to the courthouse right now? Something's not adding up here. And I'm starting to think this is more about controlling the narrative than actually changing the verdict. Speaking of controlling narratives, let's talk about this mess between Halle Bailey and DDG. Because the internet is buzzing after Halle filed that restraining order against him. And now suddenly, all these videos are popping up trying to make her look like the abuser. And honey, I am not buying it. The timing of it all is just too convenient. Halle files legal paperwork claiming abuse, serious documented abuse with receipts. And suddenly DDG's camp starts flooding social media with these clips trying to paint her as the villain. It's given desperate. It's given damage control. In the way his fans are eating it up, calling her manipulative.
Has been granted a restraining order against YouTube streamer and rapper DDG, her ex-boyfriend with whom she shares a 17-month-old son.
Saying she's playing the victim? It makes my blood boil. Because this is exactly why women don't come forward about abuse. This is exactly why victims stay silent. Because the moment they speak up, people start picking apart their every action, looking for any excuse to discredit them. Have you seen these videos they're passing around? One shows Halle and DDG playfully wrestling on a bed. She's laughing. He's laughing. It's clearly a couple just playing around. But now they're trying to spin it like she was being violent. Please. Then there's another clip where she accidentally steps on his foot and he acts like she just committed a war crime. This is what we call reaching. This is what abusers do when they get called out. They try to flip the script. They take innocent moments out of context and weaponize them. And what's most disturbing is how quickly people are jumping on this bandwagon, trying to paint Halle Bailey, one of the most unproblematic celebrities we have, as some kind of monster.
The Little Mermaid star filed the request in Los Angeles County Superior Court on Tuesday, May 13th, according to Rolling Stone. In the report, Halle alleges that she and Daryl Dwayne Gransberry Jr., aka DDG, got into an argument in January 2025 while he was picking up their son Halo from the 25-year-old singer's home.
If DDG had real evidence of abuse, he wouldn't be sharing these weak, edited clips. He'd have something substantial, something that would actually prove his point. But instead, we're supposed to believe that Halle Bailey, the Halle Bailey who has maintained a squeaky clean image her entire career, is secretly some abusive partner based on her stepping on someone's foot. Make it make sense. And let's talk about who Halle Bailey is for a second. This is a woman who's been in the industry since childhood, who's never had a single scandal, who's been nothing but professional and kind to everyone she's worked with. This is Chloe X Halle. This is the Little Mermaid. This is a woman who's built her entire brand on grace and class. Now compare that to DDG, a man who's been involved in multiple public beefs, who's known for creating drama for views, who's literally made a career out of controversy, Who seems more likely to be telling the truth here? The woman with the spotless reputation or the man who's constantly involved in some kind of social media war? You can just feel the desperation through the screen when you watch these videos. It's given, I got caught, so now I need to make her look bad too. And the timing, right after she files legal paperwork against him.
The rapper allegedly grabbed Halle by her hair and slammed her face against the steering wheel of a car, chipping her tooth. The court filing includes photos of her tooth and other alleged injuries.
It's so transparent, it's almost embarrassing. But what's truly sad is seeing how many people are falling for it. So let me ask you something. After seeing those clips, do you think Halle was being abusive? Or do you think this is just another case of a man trying to control the narrative after being exposed? How many times have we seen this exact playbook? How many times have we watched powerful men try to destroy women who dare to speak up? How many times do we fall for the same manipulation tactics before we finally see the pattern? Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like textbook Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. We've seen this playbook too many times before, but enough about other people's drama. Let me tell you about my album, because despite not even dropping a single yet, I just know it's going to be fire. The beats are crazy, the lyrics are hitting, and the features, insane. Trust me when I say this album is going to change the game. You might be thinking, how can you be so confident without even releasing anything? Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes you just know when you've created magic. Sometimes you can feel it in your bones. It's like athletes who can predict their own success. It's that same energy, that same confidence. And honestly,
throughout our relationship, Daryl has been and continues to be physically, verbally, emotionally, and financially abusive towards me. I am seeking orders to protect myself and our son Halo from his ongoing abuse.
The industry needs something fresh right now. Everything's sounding the same. Everyone's chasing trends instead of setting them. But this album, it's going to break the mold. It's going to set a new standard. And yes, I'm saying all this without dropping a single note for you to hear. But that's just how much I believe in what I've created. In all seriousness, though, from Tory getting stabbed over running his mouth to this new evidence that conveniently hasn't been filed, to DDG trying to paint Halle as the villain. The entertainment industry is just one big mess right now, and I'm here for all of it. But you know what's really interesting about all these stories? They all connect to a bigger issue: accountability. Tory didn't think his words would have consequences in prison. Kelsey, if this bodyguard story is true, didn't take accountability for her actions that night. DDG doesn't want to be held accountable for whatever led Halle to file that restraining order. It's a pattern we see over and over again with celebrities. They live in these bubbles where they think the rules don't apply to them, where they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and somehow avoid the fallout. But reality always catches up. The truth always finds a way to the surface. And that's why we, as fans and consumers, need to be smarter about who we defend and who we condemn. We need to look at patterns. We need to consider track records. We need to ask ourselves, who has more to gain from lying in this situation? Who has a history of problematic behavior? Because at the end of the day, our support matters. Our voices matter. The court of public opinion can be just as powerful as any legal system. So use that power wisely. Think critically. Don't just jump on bandwagons because your favorite influencer told you to. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think that new evidence in Tory's case is legit? And are you buying those videos trying to make Halle look bad? What would you do if you were in Tory's shoes right now, bleeding in a prison hospital bed with years left on your sentence? Would you have kept your mouth shut around a killer like Tillo? And if you were Halle, how would you respond to someone trying to flip the script and paint you as the abuser? These aren't just celebrity stories. They're cautionary tales about power, accountability, and consequences. Let me know what you think about all this drama.